All right, so let's talk about the Idol for a bit, right? I
Sure.
I
I did not watch this. I heard about it.
I know you didn't
I
watch
heard
it.
what
I know you heard
what I
things
heard
about it.
is that what I heard is that we can take all of the brunt that he hate, and he was actually one of the better things in it. That's all I know.
Yeah,
I know
well,
he take like
well, all right. So this is going to be the first, well, hopefully that the last episode of Matthew. You real putting energy into this way. So I just paraphrasing you, right? Yeah, God, I'd put
yeah,
energy into this way because yeah, over the course of
right.
3 days. I watched all 5 episodes of this, and on top of all that, I
Okay,
even took in the EPs for the show too, right? So it's
okay,
it's
okay.
like it's basically the soundtrack of the show, but they split it up into like
Right.
5 EPs now. So they put it out, every week now. But I think I don't think there was one for the first episode because I didn't see it online,
Right.
right? Um, but for the fifth episode, there was 2 EPs that came out, right? And yes, those EPs are related to songs that are in each episode, right? So that's how it is. So yes, the well, before I get to the island, right? Let's talk quickly about the weekend, right? Abel
Right.
Test Fire, right? Um,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself the biggest Weekend fan, right? Like I was aware of him when he came out in the scene in the 2010s with the House of Balloon stuff and all that kind
Right.
of stuff, right? But I wasn't really into his stuff, right? For me, when his music really clicked for me was when he dropped After Hours. And it took me a while to get into
Right.
that too, because everybody was praising that shit, right? But then like I actually like sat down for
So wait,
myself.
did um a feeling coming?
Oh, right, you're right. Actually, let me scratch that. Starboy, you're right, Starboy. That was the moment there.
Starboy,
That
right? Yeah,
was
yeah,
for
yeah,
me
yeah.
when
Right.
I really like click with his song, right? Because he was
Right.
really like, well, I should say in that one he was experimenting with like 80s synth pop, right? And then well afterwards came in, that's
Yeah,
when
yeah.
he just went balls deep into it, right? And it worked.
Yeah, but my thing is that he just feel like he feel like Michael Jackson, but not it's not
Well,
Michael
no,
Jackson.
well,
Like
dude,
it feel
he
like
he
Michael
is
Jackson.
clearly inspired by MJ. You could
Pulling,
hear
yeah,
it in his voice. I don't
yeah,
want to call it about MJ
yeah.
clone. That's terrible, right? But nah, you could
No, no,
see
no.
the
Like
inspiration
what I
in
like
it in
about him
him.
is that he don't feel like it don't feel like a rip off.
No, no,
It
no,
don't feel like
no.
a rip off or nothing like that. It's just but he's talking like Michael. But I don't at no point I think way boy he ripping off Michael. It's not some gorilla black biggie nonsense,
Oh,
right? It's
shit.
not that. Yeah,
Yeah, kids
but
ask their
you get my
parents, right?
point, right?
Yeah,
Was that
exactly. No, I say kids ask their
right,
parents, but yeah. But
right,
you're
right,
right,
right?
you're right. You could hear it in his voice, the
Yeah,
ad libs and stuff like that, right? Like the I
yeah,
say and all that kind of stuff, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, After Hours for me was when I was like, all right, I get where this guy is coming from, and I actually love the album now. Dawn FM, which came out last year, was in my top five, of favorite albums of last year. And
Right,
it dropped in January actually, and I like absolutely love that record, right? So point again now with this, right? As an artist, right? I should mention too, and this will actually come up in my review here, right? He actually had a recent, HBO special, a performance that he did. What is that after hour? Not after hours, sorry. It's based off of Dawn FM, right? But I think it's like an after hours tour
right,
that he doing, and he performed at the SoFi Stadium. And I actually like watched it just the other day, and like it was really good. Like it's not like
yeah,
groundbreaking as far as you know musical, well, I should say concert performances go, but like the man really have it with in terms of presentation, in terms of performance. The man knock it out the park, right? I'll give him that, right? But
right,
yeah, you know what I mean. So as an artist, and especially as a songwriter, I really do appreciate him, right? He kind of found his niche in terms of I'm the bad boy, and I just like to sleep with girls and all that kind of stuff, and it's like I don't really care because it's all about me and my pride. But when them girls are breaking his heart, now when they call him out in his bullshit, that's when he want to come out and be like, I'm sorry and all that kind of stuff, and he feels hurt now. You could hear it in his voice
right,
now. So he plays that fuckboy character very well, like, you know what I mean? And it works. It works
right,
with his
right,
brand. It's the kind of shit that he was singing about for years, right? Even before he dropped Starboy. So much to my surprise, I was
right.
hearing about this thing about the Idol, and the first 2 episodes showing cans, and I was like, all right, and it's starting weekend. I'm like, all right, you okay? You real branching up, bro.
And well, his co-star kind of was excited over too. It's like okay, then
Oh yeah, well,
she,
Lily Rose Depp. Yes, that would be the actual
right,
daughter
right.
of
So look at her.
Johnny Depp too. Yeah, who I'm not really
Right.
all that familiar with. So but yeah,
Yeah, me neither.
Right.
Whatever.
So
Yeah.
before I jump into what this show is about, right? But the interesting thing about this now is the creator of the show slash director. It happens to be Sam Levinson, right? Who is the creator and director of
Right. Same
Euphoria.
guy who do
Now,
Euphoria.
while I was watching this, Dread,
Right.
I was telling myself, just like you, when you reviewed, I think it's like the season 1 or 2 of Euphoria, this just not for me. I get it, but this just not for me. And I was watching
Right.
this show, I was like, yeah, I feel it the same way. Like, I get it, but this is just not for me, Dread. And I imagine it has that same sort of
Right.
style, the same sort of provocative approach to subject matter and all that kind of stuff, right? I assume so, because I just haven't watched a single episode of Euphoria, but I heard things about it, right? But anyway, what this show is about in a nutshell is that it focuses on Jocelyn, right, who is played by Lily Rose Depp, right? She is a pop singer, right? And in the eyes of the world of the show here, she's an idol. Well, she's a musical idol, right? But she sort of fell off
Right.
about a year because her mom passed away, and she was just, it's grief and mental illness and stuff like that, right? So she manager and the record label that represents her now, well, basically she wants to get back into the game, right? So they're all working with her to try to
Right.
put out some new music. So apparently we learned in the first episode that she did put out, a few new songs, and they were charting, and basically it's all to hype up this comeback tour that she planning, right? And ironically, one of the venues just so happened to be SoFi Stadium, right? But anyway, she like legit throw away all the
Right.
music. Because just creatively, she just not in her element. She just not feeling the music at all, right? And this just have
Right.
everybody feeling nervous. So up comes Tedros, who is played by Weeknd, right? And he is just this nightclub owner. He have this rat tail. Like the moment you see him, he just
Is he? Is he? You know, you're right, Bob. Is it like oh god, Spring Breakers? Remember the character from Spring Breakers? Is that guy?
oh gosh, that guy, I forget his name. Not
Um,
James Franco.
James
James
Franco.
Franco. Yes, James
Yeah,
Franco.
yeah.
So basically, Jocelyn runs into him because she does out with her friends. She goes to this particular club. She was actually recommended by one of her backup dancers to go to said club, right? And Tedros meets her. Immediately they hit it off. They go in the bathroom and making out and all that kind of shit. And basically, Tedros just kind of comes to her like, all right, I know that I can make you a star. I could take that hidden energy and voice inside of you and bring it out. But at the same time, he doesn't like out and say it, right? But at the same time, he just want to have sex with her, right? That's basically what it is, right? So yeah, they have that thing going on too, and well, basically he comes and more or less shacks up in her mansion, right? And brings his crew. But the crew that he have, basically, well, you kind of learn really what it is. It's basically a cult, right? It's just these runaways, basically, these outcasts, but they just have that musical gift in them, right? All of them could sing, right? And I believe like they are all played by real life singers as well, right? But like real indie artists, right? I guess I'll call them indie because I don't really know them or heard them as far as mainstream music goes, with the exception of the EPs that I mentioned before, right? But yeah. So yeah, he is just more or less grooming them now to become the next breakout stars, right? But at the same time, because Tedros is basically a horny motherfucker, yeah, he kind of just want to up Jocelyn's sexuality, right? Because yeah, that was like the sell with her music earlier on. But in this case, he really wants to like ramp it up now, to about 10. So
Right.
basically what we get here is this sort of like S&M-esque kind of relationship between the two of them, because he like pushing her, like forcing her
Okay, so
sexually.
we're going to see him in that show with Chris Henry.
Yep, 50 Shades of Grey. I'm
is
going to
that
bring up
a little
50
bit
Shades
of
of Grey. That's right. I'm going to bring up 50 Shades. I'm going to
Okay,
bring
wow.
up that shit. Yes, that's what we're getting at, right? So yeah, he
Yeah, wow.
forcing her
Yeah.
sexually now to, open up and embrace her sexuality and all that stuff, while at the same time,
Right.
trying to channel that creativity out of her, right? And in the world of the show here, it's about expression. So it's like, yeah, this is me, and this is me just being me and all that kind of stuff, right? But of course, things get darker the more the relationship gets deeper between the two of them, and I'll stop, right? So, let me get the good out of the way. Directing-wise, Sam Levinson did his thing. I will give him credit for that, right? This is actually this is literally the first series that I've seen from him, right? So, because again, I have not seen Euphoria, right? So I can't compare and contrast, right?
Right.
But I thought, like, from a directing standpoint, he did a great job, right? I also like the sort of film style. I assume it's film cameras that they use because it looks like pure film. It doesn't look digital at all, right? And it gives it this kind of look
All
to it,
right.
this
Okay.
this really unique look to it, right? And I think it works for the story, right? Um, Performances. This is where I'm a little iffy on the performances, right? Because the two leads themselves, right? That would be Lily Rose Depp and The Weeknd, right? I'll call him Weeknd in this case, right? Not by his real name, right? I think that they themselves do a good job. They really do a good job, right? On the acting perspective. The problem is the script that they're given and the things that they have to do. So in the case of
Yeah,
Lily
that's
Rose,
true.
right?
So
And this is not me disrespecting her. I mean, she a grown-ass woman. She could do what she wants, right? But the show itself, right, kind of forces her to be over sexualized, right? And it's done in such a way where
okay, you know what this song is like? This song is like because the Marilyn Monroe thing with that girl,
good thing you bring
Blonde.
up that too, blonde, yes,
Yeah,
because we have to
yeah,
bring up
yeah,
blonde in this too, yes,
yeah.
because just
Wow.
like
Yeah.
just like oh gosh, with oh gosh, I forget the names now all of a sudden. The actress who played her,
Anna de Armas, I think.
yeah,
Anna de Armas.
Under the Armors. Yeah,
Right.
Lily Rose is kind of forced to be over sexualized in this, right?
Right.
But the show real tries to play it off like, no, it's
Well, it's
about her,
abuse, but it's
like,
part it.
it's about her reawakening as a woman and as an artist man and all that kind of stuff. But no,
So no, but
it's
do they
just
do
her being
the
over sexualized.
right? But you see, well, I get that, but they're also trying to do the whole well is abuse, and you're telling me how abusive the relationship is, but at the same time you're still showing off the abuse. You see the problem?
Exactly, right.
Yeah,
Because
that's the problem with Bond. Yeah.
yeah, but to the show's credit, it's not like physical abuse, right? When it
Right.
comes to Jocelyn and Tedros, or what Tedros does to Jocelyn, right? But it's more mental and more
Right.
psychological and emotional as well. Because as I said before,
Right.
Jocelyn is getting over the death of her mom. They hint to the fact that she does have mental illness as well. Dealing with this and this, dealing with the fame and all that kind of stuff now. So here you have this predator, this literal predator who comes in under the guise of, oh, I'm gonna make you a superstar now, and yet he's doing all these things to her. Some of which you see on screen, others you don't, right? Just to kind of boost her up, basically, right? So I'll throw an example. I'll get to spoilers here now, right? So they set something up now where we learn that that her mom actually was abusive to her as a kid, right? She used to use this
Right.
hairbrush and literally beat her, like just beat her wherever she could basically conceal the wound. She would beat her, right? So you could kind of put two and two
Right.
together,
Wow.
right? So this is in the third episode. There's actually a great scene, like a fantastic piece of dialogue, right? Is this dinner scene involving Tedros and Jocelyn and the other members of the cult, right? And the discussion they're having is that, tragedy and grief can bring out, great songs or great bodies of work now. So like somebody could make a great song, but it could be based off of something very traumatic, right? And Justice is like, well, no,
Right.
like why should it be about the grief? Like you're kind of seeing that you have to go through grief in order to make great art, you know what I mean? And
Right.
of course,
Right.
Tetris being Tetris is like, well, yeah, I mean that's how it is. It's all
Yeah.
about the art, right? Is
It
that
remember it,
discussion?
it remember Teddy Perkins now
All right,
from
right, from
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great point, right? And yeah, I would say just from everything, from blocking to the dialogue, everything about this scene is fantastic, right? But what it leads to now is Tedros again being a horny motherfucker saying, okay, well, you keep thinking about your mom, and basically your mom is the reason why you're kind of channeling this inner sexuality. So here's what I gotta do. I
Right.
gotta take this hairbrush. I just basically gonna beat your ass. I'm literally, it's the bondage
Right.
thing, right? Whip you, literally beat you, over the ass with it, right? And then that's gonna, raise, your spirits, if you will, right? And of course, it's done
Right.
in this over sexualized kind of way. So it's like, oh, it's the pain and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pleasure. It's that bullshit, right? It's that S&M shit, right?
Right.
But now to get to the negatives, right? For a show that really goes out of its way to be provocative and oh my god, look at how sexualized it is, right? I might be selling out myself here, but it feels like just visually, it feels rather team tread. It feels like they kind of
No,
working around it. So I'll explain, right? Because
It's 50 Shades of Grey.
Exactly. Right.
Same problem. Same problem.
Same problem. You want to show me sex. You want to tell me how sexual and all this is, right? But at the same time, you're real work. You're real kind of blocking. You're trying to work around it now because of the actors that are on screen. You don't want to show them in a certain light. You know what I mean? So it's that.
Yeah, you'll think you'll be more if it's because
it's HBO.
What do you call it?
Exactly.
HBO,
the station that gives us stuff like Game of Thrones where you see like a naked person every day, right?
Right.
No,
right.
them real try to cut corners with how the sex scenes look, Trent. So I think the real problem with it though is because of who is on screen. And let me just talk about The Weeknd, right? So I love his music, right? I love him as a singer, as a performer, as a writer. Don't get me wrong, he is great as a writer. He does nuance very well, right? But as an actor, boy...
Yeah. So.
And I could see him trying. But here's the thing, All right, so just to get back to these sex scenes for a bit, right? So, don't worry, I won't say too long on this, right? Because it's him on screen, you kind of... Like, the director there, Sam, don't want to literally show him on screen doing the scenes there. So it's always in glimpses, right? But they kind of want to show that it's him.
Yeah.
And it's just done in this very sterile kind of way. And it's like, well, better you just cast somebody else to play the role. And you could have cast somebody else to play the role. And he could have been brave enough to, at least show himself on screen. And sorry, after seeing the scene for Lily Rose. So ever so often, you will see her breasts. Not much to talk about. Sorry, no disrespect, but that's what it is. But even she looked like the camera was kind of working around her, so she's not entirely naked and, entirely exposed to the world now. So, in other words, they could have just cast two people who are confident in their own bodies to just do the stuff now. Instead of casting people who look good and sound good and whatnot. Even Lily Rose do some singing. And she could sing real good. I'll give her that thread. But as far as showing them in sexual situations, it's like, what was the point of showing them if you ain't showing them nothing, right? Is that?
Yeah, right. If you're doing it, just go to a further implication and done instead of...
Exactly. And you saw that in particular with the scene here, bro, scene. Like, I expected to see some 50 Shades of Grey shit. No. They just cut around it, play a song, and boom, moving on, right? But I felt personally that. But here's the thing, just in defense of Weeknd, it is a story that he did come up with. So he is like co-write. Well, I think that he is co-creator of the show. Yes, he is. And going to a positive again, right? It does fit within his wheelhouse as far as the style of pop/R&B music he does, right? He's going for that 80s neo-noir, seedy, schlocky kind of vibe to how Hollywood is and how... Yeah, right.
The underbelly,
and how LA is and, how dark the City of Angels is, man. That's what he goes for, especially with After Hours. That's why that album really clicked for me. Okay, that's felt like he was just diving into that, underbelly of that world now.
Well, since you tell me that he do it, it feel like now? It feel like an extended music video problem.
Yeah.
Yes. Where it's just you're not making a show, you're just making an extended music video. But if you tell me it's all this music stuff and overlap in it, which soundtrack is, if I make a soundtrack, I good, I happy with that. But you have to still make a movie now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right,
and it really does feel like, even if you're familiar with his with his videos in particular, especially like the ones for After Hours and Dawn FM, which I actually love. I love that he does what I call anti-pop videos, right? So the song might sound really breezy and nice and you have a nice bop to it, right? But when you watch it, like when you see the video fit, it tells a much darker, different story, and I love that, But it works, right, with who The Weeknd is. Like, he wants to show you the darkness of it all, even though the music might sound bright and poppy, right? So again, it's 80s neo-noir worship. That's what it is, right? And speaking of neo-noir, I was even picking up on some David Lynch vibes, some Angelo Badalamenti vibes, right? R.I.P. to Angelo, right? For those who don't know, Angelo is like a frequent collaborator of David Lynch. He does like film scores, right? So he did the theme song for Twin Peaks, and in particular, he did the music for Mulholland Drive, which this show owes a
Right.
lot to. Cause yeah, Mulholland Drive was about the dark side of
Right. Right.
Hollywood,
Right.
and
Right. Right. Right.
it's that,
Exactly.
right?
Right. Right.
That's what Sam and The Weeknd really tapping into, right? And I commend them for that. That's great, right? But again, because The Weeknd is front and center, it really does feel like it is an extension of his music. It feels like this extended music video that we're just watching over the course of 5 episodes, right? I just felt like he could have just cast somebody else, right? Not saying that he shouldn't be in the show, period, but nah, man, he's like, it just makes it feel really indulgent, right? And
Yeah.
just few. And yeah, if there's one word I could use to describe this show, unfortunately, boy, is indulgent, boy. Because
Yeah.
and I
So,
only found this out after the fact, right? So initially they had another director screenwriter. I forgot her name, right? But yeah, the way how she approached it, right, was more from how to say, she kind of approached it from a satirical perspective, right? So
right.
yes, it's about the dark side of Hollywood, but we kind of dark side of LA and pop music. But we kind of calling it out on its bullshit while we kind of poking fun at it at the same time, right? And you can see glimpses of it in this show, right? So, like, case in point, Eli Roth is in this, right? Yeah, he's this Live Nation representative here, and he just cracking all these, like, jokes. Like, he just being real sardonic, like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing? Why you dancing like this? All that kind of stuff. Even Troll shot at Kanye
Right.
and, the shit that he was saying, the anti-Semitic stuff that he was saying last year. He even do that, and that was really cool, right? But
Right.
yeah, it was, and it could have worked as being satire, right? But you could add the sleaziness on top of it too to kind of sell it as well, right? So I'll throw in an example as well. Sorry if I keep throwing examples, right? Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, right? Popular. It's like a early, like I think it's like in 1970, I believe it came out, right? It's actually one of my favorite cult films, right? That one was tapping into, well, it's the flower power generation, and how music at the time felt and how sexualized people were at the time, right? But it kind of did it within this campy vibe now, where yes, we kind of making fun of the era as well too, and it's so ironic because it's actually co-written by Roger Ebert, right, and directed by Russ Meyer, right. So it's Ebert knowing about film and the style of film that he's writing about. Yeah, so that film in particular had this sort of campy vibe to it, where yes, it's silly and it's fun and it's sexual, but it have this dark undertone to it, and it works. Like it fits so neatly, right? Here, I'm not saying that they should have gone for camp, right? But they should have added more satire to it. They just sort of took the satire out, just left some residue in it, and just kept things as sleazy as possible. And the message, unfortunately, gets muddled, right? So there's a lot of great messages in this, right? Especially in terms of, the music industry and theme and, the cutthroat attitude of it, right? And in particular, just
Right.
predators that are about, when it comes to, new and upcoming talent, right? So I would say, let's just go in one more time to Tedros. He, to me, comes off like the equivalent of, say,
Okay.
like a Charles Manson and
Right.
and R. Kelly. Like, he is, like,
Yeah.
literally a match between the two there. The problem is, again, it's The Weeknd, so he kind of feels like, he feels like this extreme version of his fuckboy character. That's what he feels like. Like, if he was just this sleazy motherfucker instead of like this heartthrob that he tries to frame himself as in his music, that would be Tedros in a nutshell, right? So yeah, that's what makes his performance and just in the overall series just hard to really take seriously, right? So I'll just mention this quickly, right? And then I'll wrap up, right? So, of course, the moment that everybody will remember from this, right? And it catch me completely by surprise, right? Is this scene, I think is in episode 4.
I think I know what
it's
you're
like
talking
3 or
about.
4, right?
Where he's threatening a fella
Right.
for something.
Yes.
Yeah,
where-
that was on the that was
exactly.
online,
So
yeah.
he takes
I see all
Jocelyn
over it,
to right. So he takes Jocelyn to Rodeo Drive, right? So they go on shopping and all that, right? And I should mention, after that scene that I'll talk about, yeah, in the dressing room, they having sex, and then afterwards, she's like, you know what, why are we doing this here? You know what I mean? Go finish yourself off. And literally the man is jerking off in
Right.
the friggin' dressing room, dread. And people
Right.
are like, oh my God, right? Again, the show really,
Yeah.
really, really tries
Yeah.
hard to be provocative and shocking, but it just tries way too damn hard, right? But yeah, the moment I talk about is where this guy, right, this normal average guy who working and helping Justin, right, with the clothes, right, and just to see how they fit on her, right. And Tedros just walk up to the man like, "Oh, you're looking at her? Don't fucking look at her, man.
Yeah.
What the fuck you looking at? I'm gonna go and
Yeah.
fucking clip stop
Edge lord
fucking
thing,
street, man. Edge lordy shit, there.
Yeah,
I will
very
not
funny.
lie to you. I must have run that scene back about 5 times, Fred. I was laughing my ass
Yeah.
off for that, boy. That was
Yeah.
so hilarious, boy. No, literally, that is the funniest shit I have seen that whole show, but right? But yeah, and that's last thing, and then I'll wrap up and get to Rita, right? So I have to mention the finale in this, right? I'm sorry, we still in spoiler
Okay, no
territory,
problem.
right? So again, messaging being
Message.
muddled, right? The end of episode, yeah, message, right? So the end of episode 4, right? The end of episode 4, or I should say the climax of episode 4, right? Jocelyn finds out that Tedros was more or less banging the same backup dancer that hook her up with him in the first place, right? And then on top of all that, she have talent as well
Right, so
too, and the manager actually kind of gives she the song because apparently Justin don't want the song anymore, right? Because Tedros just do all these over sexualized songs, right? But whatever, right? And she feeling bad about it. So the girl end up doing this revenge fuck thing now on Tedros, right? By hooking up by calling her ex, right? This actor, right? The man just show up willy-nilly, right? All of a sudden, right? And like real open to it. Well, he don't know about Tedros. He's kind of picking up on the fact that Tedros in this case, like he just drunk and acting like a fool, right? And yeah, Jocelyn does pretty much have sex with ex, and well afterwards, how the episode ends is that one of Tedros's friend, well I should say cult members, if you will, right, ends up what should I say by blackmailing him, right, with this model, with this girl who was there too, right? So that's that, and they never get back to him, right?
Okay.
The next episode, literally, the rules reverse because Jocelyn now feel like she have control now. Like, literally, she has control. And Tedros just looking high and drunk and just feeling like a fool now because, yeah, Jocelyn have power now, right? She calling all the shots. She talking to everybody else in the group and talking about, the good news for them is that she want to, like, bring them on tour. So they will get a chance to have their music be heard, right? Which is great. I love that, right? But yeah, all of a sudden she in control now. And I just there like, wait, now something missing.
Right.
Because you never had a moment where like Justin talked to Tedros about what happened and like fight back now. It's just all of a sudden she just there. So the implication is that she found out that that Tedros is cheating. So all of a sudden she have power and he just like a submissive, right? So going back to the whole S&M stuff, and now I'll bring up 50 Shades of Grey, right? Is the whole, like Tedros, of course, is he dominant and Justin is he submissive, right? So imagine all of a sudden the roles just suddenly reverse and there's no reason, no implication why. It just sort of happened. It makes no sense. It just absolutely makes no sense, right? So long story short, now we get to the end now where basically Tedros is kicked out of the house, right? And then months later, the tour starts and then, well, Jocelyn ends up going, well, SoFi Stadium, right? So she's on stage now and, greeting the audience and whatnot, right? And prior to that now, Tedros is invited into her room, right? And they just rap for a little bit, right? And you think that's it. It was just to see her. It was just basically to see each other one last time, right? But then the girl actually goes on stage, right? And says she has to thank the love of her life, the person who helped her get to where she is. And she calls Tedros on stage. Kisses him. And then tells him, okay, you go and stand over there. So the idea is that, okay, she's the dominant now and she's going to tell him what to do. But again, there's something missing. So you don't know how it happened or why. It's just... Right. But I'll get to the part...
It have no resolution to this or anything?
No, well, here's the thing. Now I'm wondering if this is like the first season and then, we're going to see what happens next. Because it just basically ends with her on stage and Tedros now... like standing to the side because now he's submissive now. Now he has to listen to what Justin say, right? She tells him the coffee cough is like that, right? But the messaging, again, is wrong. So you're saying because Tedros cheat on you, you cheat on him, and that gives you power. And that just opens up this whole debate now, which I'm not even going to get into about sexual liberation and freedom. I'm not even going to talk about that in the show, right? But the idea that you're trying to tell me, Sam Levinson and Weekend, is that the heroine gets her power literally through sex. You fucking
Okay.
serious? And that
Yeah.
it's
I still not following like why anything happened because of these switching powers.
yeah, it makes
Like how
no
come
sense, shit. And it just
how
literally
she get
happens in
powerful
the
all of a
yeah,
sudden?
how all of a sudden when everything has just been
Exactly.
about Tedros telling you what to do and what to say, right? So
Right.
in
Right.
closing, right? I didn't hate this as much as Blonde though. Like Blonde was just this
Right. Yeah.
depressing
Blood was a problem.
slog where it was just taking
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
this character that this real life figure and weighing her down for no reason in my opinion, right? But here
Right.
I could see what they were going for. And there's a great
Right.
story inside here. There's a great message or messages in here, right? In terms of exploitation in music and in the media. The idea of sex as empowerment and all that kind of stuff. Those are great themes, right? But unfortunately, boy, it's just lost in this sleazy, provocative for the sake of being provocative show that really goes out of its way to try to get a rise out of me. That's the
Right.
best way to describe it. It's literally trying so damn hard to get a rise out of me that I'm just watching this show and it just feels awkward. Everything just
Clumsy.
feels
Yeah.
awkward and it doesn't feel logical or organic at all. It just feels like you're just trying to get a rise out of me. All right, let's just see Lily Rose, moan and do fake orgasms. Okay, wow,
Yeah.
big whoop, right? Show Tedros doing dirty talk, and while they're trying to cut around him having sex with Lily Rose. Let's do that, right? And let's be all provocative, man, right? And then you still want to tell me it's about the music world, man. So in other words, great story, but just lost in this poorly executed
Yeah.
show, man. And yeah, I'll end with this, right? The hate, or I should say the negative criticism thrown on it though is rightfully
Right.
deserved though in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Understandable.
right?
Yeah.
But still there's glimpses of greatness in this
Yeah.
show though. So that's why for me at the moment I'll just give this a very, very, very light 2.5 out of
Right.
5. And this is just me being charitable, because really I should just give this a strong 2 out of 5, right? But I saw the glimpses, I saw the potential what this show had.
Right.
Boy. There's really like room for greatness in it, right? So I don't know if we're gonna get a second season for it,
Okay.
right? I should mention also this lastly, the music in it is actually pretty cool by weekend standards, right? But going back to the message and the will of the show, the problem is that it's just this dreary, drab, synth pop bedroom music kind of vibe. It doesn't. It's not like, like if you listen to like a weekend album or whatnot, right? You hear like a bop, you
Yeah.
hear like a jam that you could vibe out to. We have none of that.
Sad.
None of that, right?
That's sad.
And I think that if we had at least one of those songs in this show here, yeah, you would have sell the point of what the show is about, right? Because it's not just about being sexualized or whatnot or being sexual. It's about the world of pop music itself, right? It's kind of shallow, the art form itself. It's just disposable fun, right?
Right.
But you could understand why people will like treat this as gospel and why those songs will define their lives, right? And it's so ironic as I'm talking about this now, and I'll wrap up here, that they even play Madonna's Like a Prayer, right?
Right.
Which, perfectly embodies that, right? Pop and why people put it on pedestals or whatnot, but yet it could be provocative and, schlocky at the same time, right? That's what they're going for, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, great messaging, and I get what they're trying to say here, but it's just lost in just indulgence and Weekend just having to be in front of the camera because it's Weekend, and just a poorly examined look at sexuality as empowerment. So yeah, that's really all to say. I think I spin the wheels here by now, but yeah, I would say if you're really, really, really curious to see it though, but keep your expectations really low. I imagine you might find yourself just laughing at just the cringy acting and all that though.
That's
But
what it's something like. Yeah.
yeah, but again, I see the potential in this though. So I don't know if you'll get a second season. I really am not looking forward to that at all. I guess maybe by years, and I probably might put this as one of my worst TV shows of the year, boy.
Wow.
But yeah, boy,
sad.
this was squandered potential, true and true, man. And it's a
Sad.
shame,
That's
man. It's
sad.
really a shame, right? But yeah, moving on.